But the practical thing what he put forward, it baffled me. And that shows that the company's got talent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Asif.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Is it? I thought it's morning. I saw people literally.
No, but it's morning because jab jaga tab savera.
That was needed, just a stimulus. And I believe this is going to be a change of flavor for you guys. सुबह से हम ये सीख रहे हैं what is supposed to be done to be a good entrepreneur. क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, do's and don'ts and blah 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 blah. All good, all needed. But here one thing in the race of becoming entrepreneur, I believe, and I personally see it from our practices as well, from the client experiences as well. People while doing or establishing in haste of business, they ignore certain fundamental aspects of creating a business and running a business. One of which is, of course, a legal aspect. It is a very important aspect which people at times do acknowledge but are reluctant to address. So this is a very common phenomenon seen in especially startups, wherein people do understand the value of legal, but they don't want to spend on legal. So we'll speak a bit of it so that it can help all the emerging and established entrepreneurs as well, because legal is one thing which is needed right from the amateur entrepreneur till Bill Gates, I believe. So usually the bigger the organization, they have the machinery to fight with the legal issues that may crop up while doing business. But for small and mid-sized organizations, it's a bit of a challenge. And that's where it is important that emerging businesses should have an eye on it. If they can't address it completely, at least they should have a willingness to address some of the critical ones, which can bite them when it is least expected. And usually this happens. The sins committed in the past, they bite you when you are getting, into discussion of a marriage or something. So it is very important you keep your past clean. And this is very important from the inception itself. I promise you I won't be doing more than 5 slides. And I would be really cruising through that. So don't think it's going to be a boring session. Or rather, I want to make it more interactive session. So I don't know why it's getting blurred, some issue with the thing, but okay, we can still talk on that. So I've got a few fundamental questions that I want to answer from you guys, because it's going to help you, because these are related to your own businesses. My very first and fundamental question, do we need a legal department?
Yes.
Yes.
Why we need a legal department?
So that we don't get into trouble.
So that we don't get in trouble?
We don't
So that
necessarily
you
need.
maintain a compliant business.
We need to maintain a compliant business.
Because they are experts into it. We might not be.
Experts in their field, okay?
We don't necessarily need a legal department. We need to make sure that we are compliant.
Compliance again, which she already covered.
Safeguard ourselves.
Safeguard yourselves. Only 4 things. This is a myth which we need to break. Yes, legal will help you. So all whatever you said is basically intended safeguarding yourself. You don't want to land up in the problem. Whether it be a compliance related problem or a litigation or for that matter a recovery suit or something of that sort. But this is one aspect of a legal department. How many of you would agree that legal department can help in your revenue? Top line. How?
By defining and aligning
partly correct. Any other attempt? Recovery. So technically you are there, but post facto. Rather, I would say it helps us in prevention of revenue leakage. If you have an agreement with your customer whom you have provided services, and you have a clearly defined stringent payment clauses with the interest clause, and if they does not pay, you should have an exit mechanism. Why would you go for recovery?
If there is no exit mechanism.
So you will save on your revenue. What happens with the budding entrepreneurs? In haste of getting business, we take anything and everything that comes our way. Because we need to establish ourselves. We need to have contracts in place, so that we need to have work, so that we will have money. We will earn something. When we'll earn something, the business will survive. And in that race, they neglect the terms and conditions. How many of you enter into a customer contract while providing services to clients? 4, 5? Handful of people? Guys, we are entrepreneurs. And how many out of these 5 get their documents vetted from a legal guy? 1, 2, 3. So it is very important that you should have a document in place, and B, a proper document in place. It is very important, because I don't know, I've not seen your documents, but majority of my clients, they do business on PO. Am I right? Purchase order. If we feel we have purchase order in hand, we are secured. Which does not talk about anything other than what money you are going to get. It does not even say when you are going to get that money. Whether payment term is 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, it is silent. Whether you have an interest mechanism, it's silent. Whether will it provide you a breach, material breach scenario wherein you can have a termination for cause? Silence. And they come to us, sir, हमारा 6 महीने से पैसा नहीं दिया, साल भर से पैसा नहीं दिया. And when you say, अच्छा आपका डॉक्यूमेंट है ना सर? क्या? PO. That too, 25 to 30% cases. 75% cases में वो भी नहीं रहते. So it is very important that we should have, and that's how you save your revenue leakage. जब revenue leakage बचेगा तो obviously आपकी top line hit होगी. That's one aspect. Second, it saves you from bleeding, which protects your bottom line. I hope everybody understands top line and bottom line over here.
How's it work?
Good one. So, how you save your bottom line? How you save your bottom line? Guys, litigations. If you go, after once you're in dispute, you come to lawyers like us, hum to baithe hi hai. That's our bread and butter. Because for us, that is the entrepreneurship. How much more I can earn from my client. Alright, sir? So this is what it happens. So that hits your bottom line. कि आपने जो save किया था, अब उसमें से भी जा रहा है. So that's how a legal department does not necessarily only safeguard yourself from the problems, it also help you grow your business in terms of numbers. So by now we all know and agree that we do need a legal department, right? You all agree? Do we keep one? Next question.
Not many.
Not many?
Depend on size of your business also.
Depend on size of business.
Sometimes your profit also, legal department will take care of that.
Exactly. You nailed it, sir. You nailed it. The problem is, till today, India mein legal is considered as a cost center. It is never a revenue center.
Cost and time consuming both.
So, like Majid Bhai just now said, he has got limited resources, he struggled, whatever he had, he pumped in, and he's trying to survive, he's going to take care of business. अब मेरे पास अगर limited resource है, limited पैसा है, तो मैं उसको क्या करूँगा? Lawyer को दूँगा या salary दूँगा? And the obvious answer is salary दूँगा, so that I can survive maybe a couple of more months. And that exactly happens in Indian scenario. That especially all giant companies, definitely they do have a well-established legal departments and all. I'll just take a pause over here, and Abid bhai ki meko baat yaad aa gayi, Abdullah bhai ki, he is not there. Okay, it is important. First, tell who you are. Why should we listen to you? So a bit of quick introduction about myself. Otherwise, acceptability level goes down. So I just clicked to my mind. So it is very important you should know who I am. My background is.
You didn't start with it, but then I said, okay, let me not.
So you should have. But again, a lesson of an entrepreneur. Wherever you see there is a mistake, rectify. Don't shy away.
But the budding entrepreneurs are such that they have a different way of presentation also.
Yeah,
Sometimes you come up and say, this is why I am, and I'll tell you now what do I am.
I'm sure. So innovation and out of box thinking are always there. So bit of 2 lines about myself. A law grad from Bombay University, a part of corporate legal departments for last 15 years. While doing this journey, I was associated with some renowned names like Hexaware, an IT giant, Deutsche Bank, a giant investment bank, SR Group, again a giant Indian conglomerate, WNS, which is a giant outsourcing company. So a few of the elite companies I've worked with and I've been associated. I've been fortunate to work for them as a legal advisor. Few of the companies I've headed the organization. My last stint was with WNS, where I quit the organization at the level of senior vice president, where I was globally heading the legal department for entire WNS. And when I say globally, WNS had operations in 32 countries. So imagine a person who's talking to you about a legal scenario in-house has some bit of understanding as to what a corporate in-house legal issues are. So with this,
Brief introduction of your father.
my father, many of you might be knowing him, Mr. Asif Kitekar. He is a very recognized and respected Kokani from Mumbai, and he was a maths lecturer. Last he got retired from SIS College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Yeah, my parents, my mom, I would like to talk about my mom as well. She retired from Urdu school from Kurla, Anjuman Tabligh Islam, as a headmistress. So a teacher family which has given a lot of education, Alhamdulillah, and because of which Allah ke baad, they are the ones who have made us capable of speaking few words in front of elite crowd like this. So that's about a bit of introduction. Again, back to business. So do we keep one? So the obvious answer is no. So answer is no for multiple reasons. As I said, first is it's a cost center. Second, people think they have a connect with somebody who's a lawyer, so he will help me out. Third, even if I want to go to a lawyer, probably I might just, one of scenarios, I can consult a gali ke corner where there is Mr. Shukla or some Pandeji who's sitting with the LLB degree and advocate high court, so we'll get his advice. So these are the things because of which people usually don't opt for it. Scope of work. Before going into available workarounds, let's spend some time on scope of work. What an in-house, okay, first of all, how many people know there is a term called in-house legal and out legal? Or maybe a litigation or a non-litigation profile. Anyone? So there are set of activities which are done by a corporate in-house. which not necessarily require Ramjet Malani or Madhu Singhvi of the world. So there are things which can be done in-house. Which are those? Basic things like your first and foremost, setting up a new process or business. You need a lawyer who can just advise you whether this is doable in India or not doable in India. An entire gamut or range of employee-related issues, right from discrimination in hiring practices to sexual harassments to unlawful termination. It could be in the scope of a legal activity which you may come across. It could be your IPRs, because I have seen few of the guys from IT and cyber tech and all. Guys, IP is an asset. If you have a right IP, if you have devised a right IP, and if you don't safeguard it, trust me, you have incurred a tremendous loss on the day one itself. Because you need to safeguard. Today's world is all about IT. That's what I've been hearing since morning. Please.
Sorry, I just have very important point to add here.
Please.
Might help everyone. I'll suggest the moment you register your brand name as a company, get it a trademark, cover or everything. Because once you do that and it goes to anyone, the first person will will be able to take your name and reserve the website for you and sell it to you at maybe 100 times more than you can afford on the day one. Would be the GoDaddies and big rocks.
Yeah.
So first thing that you should do, like once you've decided on the name, just get it registered, trademark, whatever that needs to be done. Is that can help?
Absolutely valid point. Tomorrow, if you want to start a business, and when I decide to do a business, when I decide, obviously I don't go with one name, I go with the probables. The first thing I do is, I go on probably GoDaddy or A2 hosting, or I first search for a domain server. If I may be having the best of the, name or attractive or catchy tagline, but if it's not available, what am I going to do? Because I can't think of a business without a website. I can't think of a business of an email ID. And I really personally don't like to send email from asif@hotmail.com. That makes no sense for me. If it's expert legal assist, it has to be asif@expertlegalassist.com. But if that domain is not available, what am I going to do? Yes, sir.
Also, when you have your name, which is very generic, and you are probably registering yourself as a professional liability firm or a private firm, then you need to check with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs if that name is available. And I'm sure you'll have trouble a lot of time, because I had to fight for almost 3 months to get the name, because my name matched with something called Indiana Engineering Company, whereas my company was into fine art consultancy. So I had to file affidavits, lots of legal procedures to get it, and it was all computer generated error. So very important to know.
Again a valid point. So what happens? What happens if there is a registered trademark available which is similar to the name which you have sought on an MCA? It automatically rejects. So there, in case you need guys like us, where we ensure that name comes back to you. So there are ways and means of getting those names back. I'll give a classical example. My own company, one of my company called Dream Bricks Solutions Private Limited. When we applied first, it got rejected saying there is a trademark registered in the name of Dream. So I said, okay, if Dream is registered, I don't want to break Dream and Bricks separately. Mix it. For me, ultimately, there's a difference between a trade name and a brand name. I can still brand myself as a Dream and then Bricks, and then I can get it registered, wherein my checks can be paid in the name of Dream Bricks, which is a one word. That's where our expertise comes. That's where the ways and means come in picture, where we get you what you are looking for. So it is very important. One very important aspect that you should get a trademark search done before entering into a business. It is very important, because 90% cases when you come up with a common generic name and it is already registered. One important fact which entrepreneurs might not be knowing, I can have a same name as long as my class of services is different. So you can have an Tata Indigo, probably a mobile, wherein you have an Indigo having a air services. So if the class of service is different, you can still have that thing. So these are the things which definitely a qualified person can guide you about. So scope of service, we spoke about IPR. Next is your contracts. Brothers, sisters, contract is the backbone of any corporate legal department. Be it an IBM, be it a Philly, or your T Creation, or be it any organization. Contract could be in the form of your service contract, your vendor contract, your leasing agreement, your funding agreement, your IP agreements, your if somebody is acquire you, it could be JV agreement, it could be share purchase agreement. So anything and everything, the central theme which runs is a contract. So contract is very important for you guys. Basic service provider should be aware of at least 3 clauses, if not anything else, which I highly recommend. First and foremost, liability. How many of you have read your contracts? I've seen 5, 6 hands. So what is the liability you take in a business?
Depends the risk of the business. That
Sir, it does not depend on anything. As a service provider, you should always restrict your liability. Limitation of liability is something which is must.
yeah.
And my humble request to any and every entrepreneur, don't do any business unless you limit your liability. Liability could be restricted into fashions. One in terms of quantum, and one in terms of type of damages. I'm sure none of you would be knowing that you can restrict your liabilities only to direct damages by explicitly excluding indirect, consequential, exemplary damages. And I don't expect you guys to know these terms because it is highly technical. But unless you have a lawyer on board or your document is reviewed by a legal person, you won't be even knowing what you are assuming. And the basic problem with the giants, everybody wants to provide services to Tata, probably IBM, probably Reliance or Adani or whoever. These people are very, very rigid about their contracts. They don't let you negotiate. Then you may say, what is the use? Right? If they are not going to listen to me, why should I carry out a change? Isn't it? No. You still put across your point. Because there is something called natural law of justice in India, where you can always portray that I had asked for a particular clause, but because of his commanding position, he took undue advantage of situation and he forced me into this contract, making it one-sided contract. And let me tell you, there are fair chances where one-sided contracts are not enforceable by law. So at least make it a point that you put across your concern. Whether they accept, they don't accept, that's a different story.
But yet you sign the agreement.
See, end of the day, I call myself as a commercial legal guy. If there is no business, there is no requirement of it. So a lawyer needs to strike a very thin balance between business and the liability or a legality. So if I go only by virtue of being legal, trust me, I will never let you sign even a single contract. So here, the guy whom you are hired should have a commercial sense. So it is very important that we get into that. Quickly, what are the available resources for not having a legal guy? Google. Everybody thinks Google पे जाओ tablet मिल जाता है, and actually you get tablets. I'm not denying that.
Even people give you expert advices also.
Oh, that's a value added. But Google, you cannot undermine Google. But the problem with Google is, yes, you get tablets, but a single word So it is very important that it should have an expert eye. So that's where another could be your, as you said, people advising you. Then there could be some relations wherein a friend of mine having a law degree, probably he can help me out. Third, probably having a local lawyer. But the big I've seen with the local lawyers, unfortunately in India, everything and anything they perceive from the litigant eye. So they stress so much on your termination clauses and your fines and all those stuff that they miss the gist of the contract. So it is important that if you're seeking somebody's favor, seek it from at least from the corporate fraternity rather than an absolute litigating lawyer. Second thing, you cannot have favor more than once or twice. Because you can ask for favor once, twice, and one important aspect in that, you cannot push them for timelines. If a guy is busy, guy is busy. So, what are the possible way forwards? First, you can have an in-house legal. Is it a viable proposition?
Yes.
Depends on business and.
Okay, yes. So, a startup, how much a startup can fetch for a lawyer? A rough number, ballpark number. 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh. I'm sure nobody would like to spend lakh rupee on an in-house lawyer at a beginning stage. And I'm gathering Hassan Bhai's line.
2% of the gross profit.
The problem is people don't work on the profit nowadays. But it's a good model. It's a good model which you can pitch. But the thing is, in-house lawyer, if they want to hire on a salary, Hassan Bhai ki line mujhe yaad aa rahi hai, if you throw peanuts, you'll get monkeys. And that's exactly happens because lawyer वो भी है जो आपको अंधेरी या कुर्ला कोर्ट के बाहर सूट के नीचे स्लीपर पहनते हुए एफिडेविट चिल्लाते हुए 70 रुपए लेता है और रामजेठ मदानी भी दोनों की डिग्री सेम. So that is a biggest risk which we may come across by having in-house. Second is association with some law firm. Bomb affair. I'm sure Abid Bhai would agree.
Oh yeah. That sticker never stops.
Never stops. So it's, trust me guys, it's a bomb affair. You cannot think of going to a law firm, especially in a scenario when you are already in a suit. Then though you have given them yourself absolutely uncovered to do whatever they want. Third is project or assignment based involvement of attorney. It is good, but in that race you are neglecting a very important aspect which is business as usual. And BAU does require a vigorous legal monitoring and advisory. So then, we should have something new. And again, I take here the words of Abid Bhai, who said, come up with something innovative. And that's what we have tried to come up with. We have come up with an idea of having a virtual legal department. Now what you may say, what is a virtual legal department? Virtual legal department is a concept wherein we have a team of attorneys who are from the various walks of legal, having extensive experience from the corporate. They are sitting, we have along with us, and what you need to do is basically just if you have an issue, you have to call up and consider that you are calling just a floor below rather than considering that you are going somewhere else. So a virtual legal concept wherein we have done the outsourcing of the entire legal department, and it has made possible to have an affordable legal solution to your requirement with the same quality. A guy who has worked as a senior vice president is going to provide you the services. Imagine if you have to hire me. Trust me, you won't be able to at the startup. I will eat twice the equity what you may be having. Trust me. So what we have come up with the solution that, okay, hire me for a limited period because you may not have the requirement for an entire 30 days of a month. Maybe your requirement is 10 hours a month. So we work with our guys on a model with our clients wherein we provide them affordable outsource model of thing. I've got a couple of case studies, but I think time does not permit. We are running
Would
really.
that include you making standard templates for them?
Yep.
Because that would really help startup.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah, everything which is legally required, right from agreement standard, templates, etc.
yeah, that would be good.
Policy making, your HR manuals, anything and everything we provide, and depending upon the quantum of efforts required, we have multiple models. One of the models sir spoke about, which we will definitely give a thought on, but we have retainer models, we have the equity model which he spoke about, we have few more models.
No, I mean the usual suspects, the article of association, the rental agreement, the supply agreement, the employment agreement.
Yes.
The usual suspects, if you just make standard templates
Yes.
and offer it to people,
We do.
to say that you can just make these changes, all others are required essentials, don't negotiate them, just
We
entail them, yeah.
do
Basic
have,
requirement.
Yeah,
we do have a startup kit in terms of legal documents. So any startup would need an employee agreement, a leave and license agreement, a service contract, or a vendor contract, or an employee, policy manual in terms of your
So
needs.
that's very useful to any startup, by the way, because you would need to have that. You will just change the bare essentials of your business issues, but the rest, I think he will cover it, and you shouldn't try to change it, honestly. Don't put your head around it, just let him worry about that.
So quickly, I'll just, I know time is less, we have to just wrap up. Two case studies, I'll just brush it through. I won't go even into slides. A typical scenario, why I'm saying this, because one of the persons sitting out here
What I
had,
would suggest, Asif, is let them connect with you personally, because
Sure.
we are running out of time. 6 o'clock we wind up, and we
That
are
makes
at
sense.
5:45.
Makes sense.
So we are emerging entrepreneurs are waiting to speak while we are very good.
Makes sense. Okay guys, so you all are welcome to contact me. I think one of my colleagues would be distributing the business cards. So anybody having any concern can reach out.